you, my man. That was powerful too. Yes. So right here in this community, it's all love, right? It's all love. Even if our personalities don't jive, it's all love. Cool. With that said, the next person who signed up, okay, my man John.
So what I'm about to say is what has already been echoed through all the things that you've heard so far. And I just want to thank Trey and Letitia and his brother for the Real Action Community event, because for a long time I've, just like Emron, those discussions that come about, we have, it seems like we have to regurgitate those discussions over and over. And for this community, it's good that this event is happening. And since the last community event we had, I've gotten to know Trey. He's posted quite a few songs, and songs are pretty powerful, as the one that you heard. And I've added a couple. Where is the love? If you haven't heard that one, it's pretty powerful. And then even back a ways to Bob Marley, One Love. And I've heard that throughout my whole military career. Trey and his brother, they talk about being in the military. There literally is one love in the military. I remember taking a knee with some of my brothers. We were about to lock and load before going into Iraq. And all of us, we made a pact, a prayer basically, that said once we come back, we're going to make a change. And, the thing about change is that those brothers that I made a pact with, those guys were the guys that would check me. Like, hey, why are you treating that guy badly? Why not build him up? And, we heard that earlier about we have to be the change. We have to be able to talk to our relatives, our friends, and, not that this is not a serious effort, but we all have that Uncle Eddie, right? Are we strong enough to talk to that Uncle Eddie and say, hey, don't be a dumbass, right? Make a better change. Don't educate yourself. And so, I post that stuff on Facebook like, hey, you be the change. And there's tons of Facebook warriors out there. I'm not one of them. But I was challenged. One of the Facebook warriors asked me, I was like, well, you're preaching all this stuff. What have you done? And so I was like, let me make a list. And so I did. One, which you heard earlier, get educated. Not just what your teachers are telling you. Talk to your grandparents, talk to your uncles, talk to your aunts, learn about the history, because they might have been there. We heard somebody had a World War II relative or prior military. You can learn a lot from them. Volunteer to help in your community. Before we came up here, I heard Ben and Trey talk about when they came to their community, they had a barbecue. I thought my neighborhood was the only one that did that. My neighborhood went even further. They gave me a list of all the neighbors and their houses and contact. And so I took that on and I made it a whole list. And so as somebody moved out and we exchanged cakes or bread with them, I gave them a list and said, hey, these are your neighbors. Get to know them, and I got free Adidas passes and Nike passes just making those contacts. So, you build those bridges of your neighbors. Volunteer at a school, participate in your library, serve in your community, send a care package to a service member, help somebody change a tire, serve food to the poor, serve God every day. Serve God every day. I pray for just about everybody I know. It's a silent thing. As I'm driving to work every morning, somebody will pop in my head, and I was, I haven't contacted that person in 10, 15, 5 years, whatever it is, and I'll send them a prayer like, hey, Mark, today is your day. I pray you and your family are doing well. I hope as a police officer you're being as safe as you can. Just want you to know that. And as a side note, I sent one to his wife the same day because they're pretty close with me. Didn't think anything of it. She went through cancer and contacted me back years later. And she said, John, I never responded to you, but sometimes I refer to that email and it builds me up. So you never know your small sacrifices, how far they're going to go. And I say small sacrifices because it didn't take anything from me. It was just a text. I mean, if you go down the hierarchy, voice call or face meeting, voice call, text, maybe a note, it didn't take that much. Be the best dad you can. You heard from Ben, he stole my thunder. be the best dad you can. Now I can say that because I'm not a female, I'm not a grandmother. All I can say is I'm trying to be the best dad I can. I educate my kids. I wish that they would come today, but like, Dad, we heard you all over again. Give clothes to those in need. Coach youth sports. And I know that sounds cliche, coach youth sports, but it's not just the sports. It's everything outside of it. How to be a man, how to tie a tie, how to be respectful, how to represent your team, how to be part of a brotherhood, right? It's much more than just sports. Volunteer at a retirement home, clean a beach, clean a school, donate blood when you can. I have like Vulcan blood, so they're always calling me AB negative. My wife will tell you the Red Cross, when they call, I gotta hang up because they want everything. Get involved. Learn your own heritage. That's a big one, right? You heard about the internment camps, about the Tuskegee Airmen, all that. I love that history. And that being said, it's all of America. The good, the bad, the ugly. That might be me and some other man. He said he's ugly. You know, we're there. Always choose life over property. I want to say that again because that's very important. Always choose life over property. If someone to break in my home, I tell this to the scouts, if your house is on fire, what's the most valuable thing you're going to then take? And of course, you know, it's the Xbox, some it's the microwave. And I was like, no, go wake mom and dad, grab your brothers and sisters and get out. Because once that house burns down, if you're not alive, you can't replace the stuff that's in there, right? So, you know, it's very impactful. Volunteer in your HOA. Now, I'm not going to go measure your grass. I'm not going to cut your plants or your mailbox, but being involved in the HOA does one step further than just learning your neighbors. It learns all your neighbors and all the things that happen to them. Maybe there's a speed bump needed in your neighborhood, a crosswalk, where the best schools or the best teachers. You know, you get involved with that. Help a teacher, help a veteran, buy groceries for a family in need, collect toys for tots, donate when you can, participate in American flag retirement. And I heard this one, vote. I gave up 24 years of my life, and some of my cohorts did as well. Vote is the most powerful thing you can do. Organize the 4th of July event, volunteer at Habitat for Humanity, buy food, coffee, groceries for the people behind you, support any kids selling anything at your door. It is hard for a kid to speak up and ask, hey, would you like some girls? Well, I take that back. Girl Scout cookies. I think people are seeking those girls out. Let's see. Teach kids. That one's important. Not just your kids, all kids, right? Call your parents. Give of yourself freely. You are a leader. Believe it or not, kids, people around you, they do look up to you. As I grew up, it was mentioned earlier about the walk on DC. One of the powerful things for me growing up is JFK's speech. Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you could do for your country. I took that to heart and lived with it my whole life. And then a couple last things. If not you, then who? Right? I see so many times where something bad is happening, like on the Max, and people are just literally walking by it because they don't want to be part of that situation. They see the social injustice, but they walk by. If not you, then who? Now, I'll tell you right now, that won't happen on my watch. I will yank that person off that train, and I will find the local cop or security. I will, you know, it's how far you're willing to go to stand for social justice. And as we heard today, it takes a whole bunch of guys to do something, or a whole bunch of people not to stand up. Like that police chief who had an officer do something to somebody else. I don't know the full story. But where was their Uncle Eddie check, right? What was their brother saying? Hey, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to put your career on the line for something that's evil? We have to have those conversations. Don't be the one who talks the talk. All right, Facebook? Be the ones who walk the walk. Ben and I have these discussions a long time. It's not the talented person that refuses to participate. It's the person who works hard that gets things done. And last, you know, these are my protests. And as you've heard, there are a lot of them, and I've done them multiple times. And lastly, love your God, your spouse, your family, your friends, and your country in that order, and your life will be in check. And lastly, I added this one as I was sitting here. One of the things that's come up is that suicide in Oregon has started to skyrise. It doesn't take much, just like you heard with that little text. Hey, friend of 15 years, what are you doing? Especially here in Oregon or somewhere that you know they're literally on the edge, a veteran or somebody who's elderly, check in on them. And that's all I have. Those are my protests, and I hope you'll join me.